right? Sometimes leaders aren't playing for a championship when it comes to sports, but life is a game, so to me, you're always playing, you're always competing, you're always trying to keep scoring, get better against yourself.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, Championship Leadership Podcast. We got Kyle Newell here, the Panda Man out in New Jersey. How you doing, brother?
Good, Nate. Thanks for having me, man. We've been trying to make something happen for a while, so this is gonna be cool, man. I'm doing well.
Yeah, absolutely excited. Yeah, we connected through Wes Watson, I don't know, some months back, I suppose. But yeah, we've been trying to make this happen. Here we are. So Championship Leadership's the name of the podcast. So I always hit people with this first, and then we'll kind of get into whatever. But what comes to mind for you when you hear Championship Leadership? What's that mean to you?
It's a mindset, it's a complete mindset. Champions do things differently. Leaders do things differently. A lot of times they're the same, synonymous. Sometimes they're not, right? Sometimes leaders aren't playing for a championship when it comes to sports, but life is a game, so to me, you're always playing, you're always competing, you're always trying to keep scoring, get better against yourself. And I think of, the greatest leaders as far as sports, man, I think of MJ, Michael Jordan, it's that killer mentality. I think of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Always respected those type of guys.
Are you a sports guy?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah. I know you're in Jersey. Are you a Jets fan?
Look, I was rooting for them. I'm not I like the college ball a lot better.
Okay.
But a couple of my best friends are Jets fans, and they texted me last night. And I said, "What a shame, dude. What a shame."
Seriously, I'm a huge Packer fan. I grew up in Wisconsin, so obviously I've been following the Aaron Rodgers deal, and I love Aaron. I was wishing the best for him. I just, it's like, man, that's like the worst case outcome. But
I mean,
it's kind of, they did, which, I mean, says a lot to them as a team to persevere and come through with the win last night. But yeah, that's life too, right? It doesn't always go as scripted.
You never know, man.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about you and your story. I'm itching to hear it too. So
sure. So, man, I grew up. We were born out in Michigan. I got 3 brothers, so there's 4 of us, no girls. Very close in age, all born between 80 and 85. So we had a competitive, environment, all supportive of each other. We never really fought as brothers growing up, but we always were competing in sports, always going to each other's games. All got into lifting roughly the same time, and I kind of really took it deep with the lifting. We moved here to Jersey in the late 80s. So I was about seven years old. Moved in with my grandparents for a year. So there was 8 of us, me and my brothers, my parents, and them in a little ranch house. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then as the years went on, man, I got really, a transition from sports in high school kind of led me to lifting. And I fell in love with lifting to the point where that became my main passion. I gave up most sports. I played basketball still my senior year. But I just loved it, man. Then I went to the University of Delaware, studied fitness management. Didn't really know what the heck I was going to do with that, but I knew I wanted to be in fitness, So came out of there, got my internship with Rutgers football strength and conditioning, actually 20 years ago this past summer.
Oh, wow.
I reached out to Jay Butler, which the cool thing about Jay at the time, right, I was a young guy, 21 years old. So he was probably mid-30s at that point. And then over the years, we became pretty good friends. He went down with Coach Shiano to coach, when he took the Bucs job.
Yeah.
And he's down there for a while, but he'd come up every summer and we get to train for a week. And then when Shiano came back 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, Jay was his first hire. So Jay's there again, which is cool.
Okay. Yeah.
So we have a real good relationship. Learned a ton of stuff from Jay. But at the end of that first year, or the end of that summer, I was like, you know what? Don't think I want to do this exactly, be a college strength coach at that point. But I still think it's a fascinating role.
Yeah.
Right? But it's something I was saying, this isn't for you right now. So I'm back to school for my health and phys ed certification. So I got that. Finished that up 2006. Went to a local school in New Jersey, Kane University. And during that time, my first year of teaching, I started competing again in bodybuilding. I'd taken a few years off, and I started my business at the end of that first year, which, now it's Newell Strength, my last name, that business.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably private training facilities we have. And, you know, it just kind of grew, man. And the same thing, I'd always get these other opportunities that would pop up along the way. Like at the time, the high school, 1 year in, there's a big high school wanted me to take over as a strength coach. And I said, can't do it, man. You know, at the time I thought I wanted to, then it presented. I said, I've got my own business I'm working on. I got to stay focused. Then I resigned in 2012, you know, built a business, opened a facility. And I resigned to do it full time. Now we have 2 locations. So I'm at the second location right now as we're talking. Yeah, so it's been a pretty wild journey, man. And then, you know, got into fasting, all that type of stuff, you know, learned a lot. Bodybuilding coaches I've had, a lot of great coaches I've hired for myself. And yeah, so now here we are, man.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're married, you got some kids. How long you been married?
Yeah, so I've been married now 2011. So we just had our 12-year anniversary, went to Jamaica for that. We got 3 children. So we got one of them is 8 this weekend, so he's the older. So 8, we got a 6-year-old boy and a 4-year-old daughter, so 8, 6, and 4. How about you?
Brother. Yeah, married 22 years. Just had our anniversary actually. Last weekend, the 8th. So yeah, so actually just not that long ago. And 3 kids, 15, 13, and 11. So yeah, a little bit ahead of you, but yeah, right. We're right there. We're right there. What so you were at Rutgers, was Shiano was the coach, you said?
Yeah, the first time, yeah. And then they you know, it was right about when they were starting to become prominent. So I don't know if you remember, you follow college football?
Yeah, yeah.
At 1 year, man, they finished top 10. That was a little after that. At that time I was teaching, and I would go back and help them in the morning. Yeah, because I was still like, what do I want to do? You know, I didn't think being a phys ed teacher was the end game for me. And I'll tell you what, when I resigned, though, that was the hardest decision I ever had to make, you know, in my life, because I loved the kids. It was great, but I was doing both at the same time, you know, running my business and all that. But yeah, there then he came back, I think 3 years ago, which everybody here was excited about, you know. And Jay's a phenomenal strength coach. He was actually the national strength coach of the year at the collegiate level way back.
Oh, wow.
So learn from him, man. Presence. Look at the kids when they come into Rutgers.
Yeah.
Forms them, man. He packs the size on them. You know, and awesome. The first 2 games, man. The first game against Northwestern, I think it was 110 on the field over here. And they didn't have any. He does a great job preparing them. So I learned a ton from Jay.
That's incredible. Was Eric LeGrand there when you were?
LeGrand was a couple years after I interned, but he was there when I would go back and volunteer.
Okay.
So around that time, like Ray Rice, Brian Leonard, guys.
I had Eric on the show a couple of years ago. I think it was actually right around COVID time. But yeah, good dude, man. Quite the story. For sure. Well, what's Panda Man? Why the Panda Man? I got to hear the pack story on this.
A lot of people like that story. So if you see on my wrist, there's a panda right there. Okay. So after I resigned from teaching, it was like 2013, 14, in that range. I was a big fan of Ron Artest. Remember the basketball player?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was like that old. That's how I played, man. Tough, physical. I liked that style, and he was kind of more. So I was on his email list or something, and they sent an email out. Just randomly saw it, and it said, you know, I've changed my name to, at the time, like the Panda's Friend or Friendly Panda. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, man. I said, let me support him. So I bought a shirt, and I bought one of his hats. You know, it's a different logo than mine. It's the one I have tattooed on me. Then I started reading older Panda, and for a long time in Western, you know, the Western world, we thought it was a mythological creature like 150 years ago. The Easterners were talking. We'd never seen it in the wild, and then discovered it. But I liked what it represented to me as far as symbology, black or white. And also, a lot of people think it's this cuddly creature, but it will rip you to shreds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I felt like that aligned with me. Like, I'm very kind to everybody, but I'm very competitive. You know, I've got an internal drive that just keeps going, man. So I was like, I kind of connect with that. So like 2 years, maybe a year and a half ago, I guess I'd gotten kicked off Instagram. I'm not sure. I think I know why. I was doing stuff like chlorine dioxide and stuff.
Oh,
When
okay.
they
Yeah.
raised my account, like it was no even, I couldn't recover it.
Really?
Yeah,
Just
it's gone, dude.
flat. Dang.
No history of it. So then I was trying to think. I'm like, well, what do I make my new account? That's a Panda Man, Panda Man KN, Panda Man. And because I've written a Panda diet. So I guess that's part of it too. So
Okay.
2019, my staff, we were doing a fat loss contest. And we do it in conjunction, side by side with just the clients. And we had younger guys, right? And I said, man, I got to dive back in. So I started fasting in 2014, but in
Yeah.
2019, I got to dial it up here and try to catch these guys. Let me look into the longer form fasting. So I started researching that whole first summer, 2019, doing 72-hour fasts every week, one meal a day after that. I was like, man, this is freaking awesome. So then I knew, I was like, I'm onto something here. How do I teach this to people? It sounds so extreme.
Yeah.
So December, right before COVID, we actually went to a holiday party up in Hoboken, which is near New York City. Came back from that, and like that Monday or something, dude. So after the weekend, I'm like, man, I don't feel, something feel wrong with me. Now it could have been an early case of COVID, whatever, all this
Sure.
shenanigans. Who knows? But I was like, I want to become extremely sick. So my wife said, you gotta go to the doctor. Because I would be like convulsing on the floor. We had Emma was a newborn. So they tested me, said, you got flu B. So this is a couple months before COVID, right? So you
Yeah.
got the
Yeah.
flu. I don't know if I ever had the flu before that. Like, I didn't know how serious it was.
Yeah.
But she said, you're staying in the bedroom. So I was in the bedroom for like 3 days, pretty much. I had my notebook. And I said, okay, let me just, I was in this state of delirium. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to write my book and create this program. What am I going to call it? So I said, oh, the Panda diet, right? Because I kind of
I
just had,
love it.
and then when I had to restart my Instagram about a year and a half ago, when I wasn't that active on it, it was, that was what we came up with, the Panda Man. And then my video guy said, we're going to make you a new one. It's the Panda Man Official. So that's kind of where it came from,
Okay.
Ron Artest.
Great story. Yeah. Meta World Peace. Wasn't that what he changed his name to?
It was Meta World Peace, man. He's been like so many things, man. He's a character.
Yeah, he's awesome though. I love it.
Yeah.
That's a great story, man. And I don't like you look like a panda. Like
Yeah.
no, it's
Yeah,
just because you talk about it all the time. Well, you got the beard. So if you're not watching this, maybe you watch the video, but you got the
white
white beard.
my friends like
You wear,
turning Panda. I'm like, that's good, man.
I love it, man. It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah. You got me thinking like, man, I need a cool nickname like the panda.
Into
Maybe,
the
what?
once I get to one, I'll get you one, man. Hey, they
All
just
right.
pop it.
Yeah.
They pop.
I love it.
My brothers and all my good friends here that I grew up with, they call me Meat, and short for Meathead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So about that. So, but I love nicknames, man.
Oh, me too. Me too. It's awesome. Let's talk. I saw you do a great job with the videos and you've blown your Instagram up, especially having to start over like a year and a half ago. I know we connected and maybe you were like, I don't know. I think when I first saw you, you were maybe around 2,000 or 3,000, but
Yeah,
I know it's blown up quite a bit since then, right? So you've just been doing a great job putting some value out in the content that you put out and deliver. And you've been consistent with it, obviously.
yeah.
Um, been a journey, huh?
It's been, man. It's like, so when we went to Jamaica in mid-May, so as you said, you and I kind of met through Wes. And, the personal brand thing is like a full-time business. So
Yeah.
we're Jamaica, and I'm like, oh, man, this ain't working. Like, I love the branding aspect. I've wanted to do my personal brand for a long time. We're going to the airport, and I was just like, well, what's the rush? There's no rush with this, right? That just when you start getting down, well, I'm not seeing the results, blah, blah, blah. On the way to the airport, two guys reach out. I already had some clients from it at that point, but they said, hey, I'm ready to sign up. I'm like, okay, that's cool, man. Go to Jamaica, and being in a different environment, I was really tapped into like my spirit, and just praying, and all of a sudden one of the videos, and I don't think it was a coincidence, just starts catching fire, dude, and people are like sharing it like crazy. So we got to Jamaica, I had less than 5,000 followers in mid-May,
Yeah.
but I got home from Jamaica, I had 25,000.
Dang,
And
bro.
it was just like going crazy, dude. And I was having these
Yeah.
visions so vivid of like, this is what it is. And that's when it had the most explosive growth. Now,
Wow.
if you, and so I tell my guys, I'm like, listen, we have enough followers. Like it's, yeah, you want to get more, but do we need them?
Right.
Because after I did a video about the election with Trump, I think I got shadow banned. So now I've been sitting at like 90,000 for like probably over a month. And I'm like, whatever,
Okay.
I don't talk
Yeah.
about what I want, and do all that stuff. So it's kind of been stuck there, but it's like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just recently did one about Trump and the election?
Well, I did one about the election and I mentioned Trump in it, and people went nuts over it, dude. And the video was really about my prediction that there's not going to be a 24 election.
Okay.
But I said if there was, obviously I'm voting for Trump, and I would vote for RFK Jr. as his running mate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I just hit the establishment, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you, brother. Yeah. I'm there with you for sure.
Something people got all bent out of shape. And we'll get again, whatever. That's what you got to do as a brand. You speak your mind. But since then, man, it's just flatline. Like we get new people, but you're getting people falling off, right? So I think we
Yeah.
probably got shadow banned where people aren't seeing as much
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm sure.
But
Well, that and building your brand. I mean, I think you can't. That's what you want. You don't want just everybody following you, right? You want your people that resonate with you to follow you, right? Like the people that would work with you.
1,000%, man. You gotta speak your truth, man, and put it out there. So we've been doing more stuff about other stuff that I'm interested in, like Bigfoot.
Dude,
UFO.
we're talking about that. I saw that. First off, though, like you talked about, I think I've heard you talk a little bit about your faith, maybe recently.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
So talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, man. So I grew up going to church, right? We grew up Catholic, but it was always boring. It was boring, and I've always known that there's God. God exists, and there's a relationship. But then around that crazy initial period of COVID, my grandfather, he was murdered, in my opinion. My mom, right after that Christmas, so right after I had this flu, right? No, just the year after, excuse me. He called me the day after and he said, Kyle, I'm not feeling well, but I said, all right, Pa, do not go to the hospital. Don't go.
Yeah.
Get on some zinc D3. Let's get some salt in your system. Anyway, Mom takes him. It never came out, dude. Put him on the respirator. And he was strong as an ox, old Italian Mason. And when it was around that time, like me and my family never even got so much as tested for this stuff, right? Like I just did not narrative. But we all came down with something. Again, could be COVID, who knows? But it affected my brain for like 2 weeks, dude. I was in this funk, and it's not like me. Like my wife was worried, like, dude, I was like a zombie. Not nothing lungs or nothing. Then I was like, man, I need God. I was like, I need to tap, and I dabbled with the Bible in the past, and I said, I need God. I said, I can't get through this. I can't. Because at that time too, I thought I had to save the world from this. Well, I said, you can't save the world from this. Like you got to. So I started reading the Bible. So I had a book about Proverbs, a book of Psalms. It was just a separate standalone book, and God broke it down.
Okay.
Started doing the 1-year Bible. And I did that, and now I've got a couple of different text groups I'm in where we, one group we're doing the book of Psalms right now. The other one of my clients, we're doing, we just started the book of Matthew. So we send a text out every morning with the verse and what our takeaway is. And, I've been really big into making sure I'm doing my daily prayer and just connecting, man. And, a lot of my mentors have always told me, one in particular, he's like, if you try to do this on your own, there's a limit to what you can do. And this guy is super successful, man. But it's so easy to think you can do it on your own.
Yeah.
So it's
I love it, man.
Like my piece.
Yeah, that's great. He's similar journey for me, I think, to you. So for sure. It's been something that I've always, I don't know. I've never felt like it's been one that I probably just really resisted for a long time, and kind of felt like, there was always God, but just never really completely dove in or submitted, I guess you'd say, or really, and here recently in the last year, for sure, last couple of years, it's been the journey for sure. So for
Right.
me. But I saw, I don't know how much you know about Burning Man, but I just saw that, and I didn't even pay attention fully to what happened. But it seems like they got like rained out, and like I don't know a ton about Burning Man, but it feels like it's a little bit opposite of Christ and God, and it just
Yeah, I
uh,
don't know. I just started. I've heard about it in the past, and then I was just listening to a couple of interviews about it. There's one dude I follow, and I know it's I'm big into psychedelic trips. I think this is a powerful thing. So now when I do those, I sit out there with my Bible. And I turn to God when I need answers and that, and I just kind of let Him communicate with me. But with Burning Man, I don't know the backstory fully behind the origins of it, but I know
yeah,
with what happened there. The one guy was there that this guy I listened to was interviewing. He said, "Listen," he goes, "it was way overblown. It wasn't that bad as far as the floods." He goes,
oh
"It was
really?
really a distraction for pushing the agenda, right, with global warming, and distracting from what the hell went on in Hawaii, right? Like
Yeah,
if
yeah,
they get attention off of that." To the guy that was there, he's like, "It really wasn't that bad." He's like, "It was
I
way
got you.
this big thing."
Yeah. Yeah, I just saw a few people that I must follow somehow on Face or on Instagram, videos and some things about how they all were like rushing out of there. I didn't pay too close attention to it, but I was like, huh, that's interesting. But yeah, Hawaii, crazy. What's is that not the weirdest thing ever?
Yeah, I don't. I know one thing. Whatever the official narrative is not that, right?
Yeah,
And I study all this stuff, man, because I just find it fascinating. I like to, know what the hell is actually going on. Because I don't know, like, if I got to send you a link, man. Back with COVID, I was one of the few gyms in the world that opened up, despite the government. Like, I did it publicly. We were on the news, all the news stations, all that. Because I knew from my gut, I was
yeah,
like, there's something ain't right with this stuff, right? And then I started really getting into the studying this, and I've always been a challenger. But yeah, with Hawaii, man, if you even look at the temperatures, right, to melt the metal on cars, it has to be between like 1,200 and 1,400 degrees. And a wildfire will burn at 1,100 degrees,
yeah,
right? So it's a natural thing that happened. People don't even know they have these direct energy weapons. And you look at Oprah, all these celebrities, their houses weren't touched,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I heard that. Yeah,
Yeah, you had trees burning
yeah.
from the inside. That
Crazy.
happens so hot that the sap catches, right? And it can't happen from a regular forest fire, a wildfire.
And
So
then they built a bunch of walls and fences around like the burned area and weren't letting people in. Just it all sounds very suspect.
very suspect, man. And they've been wanting to turn that into a smart city for a while. They've been wanting to get the natives out of there. So I think it's pure evil, man. What's going on?
Yeah, crazy
And
for
that's how
sure.
I think this is. I think you have a war on multiple fronts. So you have World War III, which was I told my wife when COVID started. I said this is the beginning of World War III, and the media has everybody confused. So it's not a regular war though. But you also have a spiritual war. I think is a bigger picture going on with everything going on in society, stuff like that. That's furthermore the reason to connect with your faith right now.
Yeah, yeah. So psychedelics, you mentioned that. I did ayahuasca back in January. Have you
Nice.
done ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca, yeah. Where'd you go? You went out, you went away for it?
I went to Costa Rica. I went to this place called Rhythmia.
Dude, tell me about that.
Oh, uh,
You went by
brutal,
yourself?
brutal. We did 4 nights in a row.
Who went?
Um, and it was the first night I thought my life was like over. The stuff that I was like, I don't know, I guess what I was seeing or felt like it was showing me, like literally was tearing my life apart, like as I knew it, right? Or at least that's kind of how I felt in the moment. I saw a really crazy cool, and now I even kind of question it because they're in this Maloka. They want you to stay inside the whole time. I think because of the sage and everything else that keeps you like the medicine works, supposed to work better, but it gets a little overwhelming. Sometimes you go outside, people will go outside, and it's crazy because people are walking around like zombies. People are curled up on the ground. Like there was like 95 people with us. It was way too many people. But I didn't know anything. I didn't know like what I didn't know. So I just went and the first night crippled me. I thought my life was like we
How
started
long
at
did
5. I didn't go back to my room till like 4:30. I was one of the last people to leave, and they sent people home at like 12:30 or 1. And I didn't get out of there till like 4:30, could barely get back on my own to my room. I just thought like like I said, my world was over, and I was able to get through that and got through the rest, and it got progressively a little bit better each night. The last 2 nights were beautiful. First 2 were dark, super dark. And still, I'm not sure where I'm at with ayahuasca. I don't know that I'll ever go back. It felt, for me, it felt really like evil.
Is that right?
Like dark. Yeah. And I know that's not how it feels for everybody, but I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
The last 2 nights were much better. And actually the third night was pretty amazing. It was like they called feminine night. Just the type of ayahuasca that they gave us opened up more of the feminine side. So I was like super happy. Women were obviously like feeling really well and dancing, and some of them are like orgasming on their own, like on their beds. And I was just sitting there, just like next to a couple of friends that I was there with, and just really happy, peaceful. So that night was beautiful. The third night, or the fourth night, was kind of the same. It was a little bit more ceremonial towards the end, and they brought us into the day, and that was cool. But again, still, I'm not sure. I don't know one way or the other where I'm at with ayahuasca.
I want to do it, man. Like, what was your takeaway? Like, was there a big thing you tried to implant into your life after that?
There wasn't anything like life altering for me. Some people, go there to get like certain diseases cured, and some people have miracles of like chronic back pain and don't have that anymore. Or some people have what they call surgery, right? Like the ayahuasca like performs an actual like kind of surgery on them, on their body, that they almost experience, like, so there's all different ways that they've explained to you throughout the experience of what could happen, and different types of experiences that you can have. I didn't really have any of that, other than I guess the one big main message that it felt like continued to come to me, which most people would probably say, well, you don't really need to go to a 4-day or as a week-long ayahuasca retreat to get this, but just to really focus in on my family, and like, spend time with the people that matter most to you, type deal. Was like, because I got 3 kids, right? And they're getting close to, they'll be out of the home before we know it. So I guess that was the biggest thing. I drank not a ton, but more than I needed to. And I've definitely curbed that like a ton since then.
Sure.
I think it's helped with that a bit. Although going into it, I was already kind of leaning that way. So yeah, nothing that I can say that was like, and there are some people that you could ask and be like, yeah, this changed my life. This saved my life, and didn't necessarily happen for me. And then, like I said, it was very dark those first 2 nights, like very, very dark, like evil spirits and like people literally purging like demons around you and just crazy stuff.
And that was pretty much those first 2 nights. That's kind of everybody's experience.
Not everybody, but when you're in the room with like one dude, like literally, dude, he was big as a bodybuilder, and he online coach too. Good dude. But huge, like my height. I'm 6'2", or 6'3", he's probably 6'2", 6'3", but just yoked. And he took off on a sprint and jumped out the window. And luckily the window was open. Like in his mind, God was calling him to his like toddler self to come to him. So he literally, and he jumps over this woman that's had like a ton of male trauma in her life. So that like traumatized her even more. Traumatized a lot of the other women in, because he was this big dude that, so they all of a sudden didn't feel safe, right? Which understandably so. For him, it didn't ruin his experience. Like, in his mind, it was almost more of a beautiful experience, I guess, but it was a crazy, weird experience. And that on top of like some people got put in straitjackets because, crazy stuff, dude. Crazy.
Now, so you remember everything from when you did it? Like,
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't go there again because there's too many people. Like, I was thinking we'll be in the middle of a jungle. Like, there'll be like 10 of us, and we're going to have this cool little ceremony. Maybe we'll do a couple nights, right? Like if I were to do it again, I would do 1 or 2 nights, and I would want to do it with a much smaller group. And I would I would kind of want to do it out in the middle of the jungle somewhere.
what was it at? Like
this was like a resort, like I mean, big names come through there. So there was a big time actor there while we were there. There's big time artists and actors and musicians that come through all the time. You ever heard of Dr. Beckwith, Michael Beckwith?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was there, like he taught, and he was there with his family. I did ayahuasca with him. So I guess that was cool. I wasn't super familiar with him.
He's in The Secret. I remember.
Yeah. He's in The Secret. Yep. And he's got some kind of a church out in LA or somewhere that, is very popular. So yeah, so I mean, there was some cool things to it, but yeah, it was a resort. Like the food was amazing. It was all like farm to table. They did a lot of classes in between. So there's kind of like a curriculum with it too, which was very cool. We did a few what is that where they clear your colon?
No, it was coloscopy, I think.
Yeah. Colonic. They call it,
Colonic.
yeah, colonic. So did that, like, I mean, they did a lot of things to help refresh us, but the ayahuasca kind of really beats you down for 4 days.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So what did
So
your wife think about it? Like that you were going?
she didn't really know much about it, I don't think. So she was just kind of like, okay. And I didn't either, to be honest. Like I kind of did, but I thought maybe I did. All I heard was like Aaron Rodgers, and I'd hear people on Joe Rogan talk about it, and they would talk about how it like really changed your life. And so that's all I really knew. And I was like, yeah, why would I not want to do that? Right. Like I want to go do that. I think it kind of came in maybe like my dad was never around, right? He left when I was young, and I always wondered how much of an impact that's played on me. And I've always kind of discredited maybe the impact that it has played. So I was kind of going in, maybe, helping to heal some of that trauma if there was any, and any other childhood traumas that were probably there that I wasn't aware of, to help, clear that from my life a little bit. So.
And was that your first psychedelic experience?
What's that?
Was that your first psychedelic experience?
Yeah. I mean, I did some mushrooms in college, right? Like more partying. So I wouldn't really call those, I guess it was a psychedelic experience for sure, but not one for like healing or anything like that. Like not with the right intentions, I would say. So that was about it. I've done some breath. They introduced me to breath work out there, which again, had no idea what that was. That was amazing. That was incredibly amazing. That might've been a highlight for me, actually, the breath work the first night. That was awesome. Want to do more of that. And I've been interested in like some ketamine. I've had some friends that have done some ketamine and really had some pretty incredible experiences with that. Psilocybin too, but I haven't really done anything else other than ayahuasca. I just kind of jumped to ayahuasca, which I don't know if that's the right path either.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about yourself? What have you been doing?
So the first one I did was that COVID year, right after we opened with the gym. We had all the hoopla, man, very emotionally draining those couple of weeks. But so my wife took the boys kayak, and my mom took Emma. She's still a baby, and my buddy came over. We did like 2 full handfuls, man. So like an eighth is like a small amount. So that's like a trip. So we done a lot of this stuff. So he said, after the fact, he said, that was like an acid trip, man. But same thing, man. The first, the visuals were crazy, but I went into a bad spot, man. And it was kind of like what you're saying. I had this vision that I was home, but my family was on the flip side. Like I couldn't get back to them. Like they're on another dimension. Yeah. And I just felt stuck, dude. Time was going so slow. Yeah. And the message I took away was, you have everything you need right here. Pay attention. Like, don't take them for granted. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've done about 4 or 5 big trips since then with psilocybin. It's all been a good experience, man. Great experience. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I sit there now with my Bible after that first time. If my mind, if I feel it start shifting, I just open the Bible and I'm at peace. Wow. I know I don't let the negative thought get into my head.
I'd be willing to definitely do that. I am interested in that, for sure. One of the visions I had was, they were trying to round us up and get us inside, and I was like not wanting to move. So I kind of found myself outside, and it was a super crystal clear night all night. And when you're, you know, in ayahuasca, everything's very, your senses are heightened. Like my hearing, it was crazy. Like you could literally hear somebody whispering a conversation like 100 feet away. It was kind of trippy. I was like, whoa. And then like music was like, the music they played the whole time, that was amazing. Just super amazing. They had like a live band the whole time. It was crazy. That was cool. But yeah, so I'm sitting outside and I'm getting up. I'm trying to get myself up to get inside. Like literally had to almost crawl inside. And I'm on the ground. I look up and like I said, it was like there wasn't a cloud in sight. And then all of a sudden there's these clouds up in front of me. And but it was like a picture. It was like this wolf, like no shit, like this wolf in a cloud, like almost like just kind of blocky, but like with its fangs in it, and it had his ears, but it was a wolf. And then there's this clump of cows, but they're like kind of rolling. They looked like sheep, right? Like I was like, man, there's some sheep in it. And then I see the wolf, and then right behind it is a claw, just like this, like right behind the wolf's neck. I'm like, what the hell? Like, so I'm like, that's either God or that's like me, like as like the sheepdog or something, you know, I don't know. So that I was like, but it was like, and there was no other clouds around. It was just these clouds right there, like almost just for me, right? And I'm looking, I'm like, is this real? You don't have your phone or anything because they don't want you to have your phone out or you to be on your phone. I'm like, man, did I see that? But like, I'm pretty sure I saw it. So that was, didn't know exactly what to do with it, but it was just very vivid, very vivid.
Yeah, you
And
definitely into different way to communicate, with
yeah,
God. You see stuff that might be there all the time, but we just don't
yeah,
see it,
right. Yeah. So
right?
that was the best part of night one was that. But yeah, it was an intense trip for sure. I know we're already, man, I can't believe like time. I feel like we just started and we're already at the end of our time here. I got to get you out to your clients. So I think we need to do a part two, brother, if you're up for it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. Yeah,
Okay.
we could for a lot longer, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, too, man.
Well, let's do that. We'll plan on it. We'll cut it here and we'll pick back up, next time we can get you in.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Sounds good, Nate.
All right, brother. I enjoyed this time and look forward to part two.
Yeah, likewise, bro.